Welcome to my channel. I decided to film a mid-year coloring tag. Yes, I know that it's the end of July, but I decided that it's still okay. At least it's not in November yet. So, the first question was probably the most complicated because I had to count how many pages have you colored so far. Honestly, I don't have any monthly trackers about how many pictures I finished, how many VIPs I currently have. So I tried to count via my Instagram, I tried to count via my published videos, and I totally failed. What I can say is that usually monthly I finish from 10 to maybe 15 pictures. Of course, it depends from the size of these pictures. It could be a matchstick mouse, which requires probably 1 hour of my free time, or it could be a Kerber-Razanes double page spread, which still count as a picture, as a page. So also amount of finished pictures dropped considerably in January, in February, when we had a total blackout without electricity, without heat. So of course it was much more complicated to color. What I managed to count, it's amount of books which I used during this first 6 months. I count precisely, and I have a list of 40 books. It's actually quite interesting. I counted it yesterday, so I was surprised that, yeah, exactly 40. And of course, it's not a huge amount because my collection is really big, and majority of it it's still sitting on the shelf, and I constantly color in the repeated amount of books. So maybe for me it's a good hint to look at the older books and to use them at least from time to time. But in general, I think that it's a nice results, like from 10 to 15 pictures and 40 books. Next one, what are some favorite pages you colored so far? I already made similar video probably, yes, a month ago, when actually 6 months ended, but I never mind to look back at my favorite pictures. So once again I want to show you this Alena. Sorry, as usual I forgot about bookmark. That's my favorite finished page in Dark Fairy Tales by Kirby. I actually love all my works here, but I have a warm feelings toward Alena because I didn't have any problems with her, apart from just methodical slow work. All color choices they were quite easy. I didn't struggle with any parts of it. So even if all pictures here are lovely, Alena probably is my favorite. On the second, not on the second place, just another Kirby book, and it's a Lion Vault. This page, I think that it's definitely on top of my list because of the color palette, because I finally started to use again neo colors, which I sadly do very rarely, and I definitely need to use them more frequently. They are very helpful, and I think that color palette here is perfect from both sides. It really shows the frozen atmosphere of the planet, and it also has this alien look, maybe because of this lilac, purple, strange yellow colors. So I really think that it's one of my best works. And next, it's definitely Christine Karen and my Frozen Lady. Not sure that you can see her right now nicely, but it's definitely one of my best portraits so far. a year ago I was so afraid to do any portrait that even the most simple fair skin tone was very problematic for me. But thanks to the Christian Karen books, I started to experiment more. Now I have girls with slightly different fair skin tone, more tan, more pale, and I also have a girl with blue skin, girl with green skin. So I hope that I will continue my experiments. And about this lady, I have only very warm feelings. I was extremely afraid. When I colored her face, I loved it, and I thought that, oh please, no, don't mess it up on the step of her hair or on the step of the background. I think that in the end everything worked quite well, so I love this with all my heart. Let me check what is the next question. What is your least favorite page colored so far? Actually, when yesterday I looked back at my 6 months results, I was quite pleased that I don't have any pictures which I totally dislike. There are some pictures which I love more. There are some ordinary pictures, but I know that I simply did them to have a nice time, to distract myself, just even to have mechanical pleasure of working on the paper without high hopes to create some masterpiece. So there are ordinary works, but nothing very bad. Only two things I wanted to mention, only two things which slightly disappointed me. The first one, it's about Lost in Time by Russell Hampson. I noticed that what worked for me in the first book about Adventures of Mr. Fogarty, it somehow stopped to work in this one, and I am talking about marker background. I stopped to enjoy marker backgrounds. Couple of my works here, I think that they are partly nicely, like I do pencil part and nothing interesting on marker part. I simply did it to finish the page quicker, and that's not a good thought. Another one, I do love the main characters, but I was lazy, and marker background I did in like 5 minutes without many efforts, but now I dislike it, and it happens with other pictures. The best picture in this book so far is this one, which I did completely with pencils. So I decided that maybe I don't need to think about quicker coloring. Even if pictures here, they look relatively simple, so quite nice for marker technique, and you know that this paper is not bad for markers. I think that for my own happiness I need to put more efforts and maybe to do more pencil work here. Maybe style of these pictures, it's a little bit more detailed, more complicated comparing the first one, so definitely I would say that I cheated on these pictures trying to color them in easier way with markers, but no. Much better result I can get with pencils, so when I return to this book I will try to use more pencils. Because it honestly disappointed me that couple of first pictures in this book which I started, they weren't at the best, and I wanted to start this second book. I started it with high expectations, was disappointed by first couple of pictures, so now it's a little bit difficult to return to this book. So currently I color in other books by Russell Hampson, but of course I will return to this one. My second disappointment that happened during first 6 months, it's about Teresa Goodrich. If you follow me, you know that I color in her books very frequently with great pleasure, but somehow I started to notice that I'm unhappy with my current works. I noticed it probably somewhere on this page. which I colored quickly without problems, but something was bothering me. It looked again very simplified, even on the childish level. I looked back at my older works and I would say that they look better. They had better idea, better color balance, more interesting color light decisions, like we have here the dark background, one source of light, warm highlights everywhere, and it looks much more interesting. So again, I realized that I started maybe to simplify. I started to notice that my color palette usually is extremely vibrant, and many things they ruin the composition, and page doesn't look well balanced. Very often it's vibrant flowers when I tend to color each of the flowers in its own color. So something was out of place, and it didn't help me to create works which I am totally happy. So I think that now when I realized this problem, I stopped to coloring her book for a month. Then I slowly returned. I tried to be much more careful in my color choices. Limited palette still doesn't work for me, but at least I try to pay more attention to the perspective, to select maybe slightly more calm colors. So I am working on this inner problem, because I definitely don't want to lose pleasure from coloring in Teresa Goodrich books. Works which I did in July, they are already better, but we are talking about first 6 months, so I definitely had a problem with finishing Teresa Goodrich pictures on the satisfying level. Okay, let's check what is the next. How many different books you have colored so far? So it was question number 4. I already answered exactly 40 books. Which book you have colored the most? Oh, that's 3 books. I already mentioned Dark Fairy Tales. I really try to do 1 page in a month. If it's not possible, well, 1 page in 2 months. Considering that pages are often spread, I think that it's a good speed, and also it's a speed which doesn't overwhelm me, because they are dark fairy tales and sometimes it could be triggering. And I hope that such speed also doesn't overwhelm my viewers, because I post very frequently picture videos from this book, and I am not sure that all are the huge fans of it. My second frequently colored book, it's Symphony. Please excuse the nude look of my Symphony. I constantly coloring it, so the dust cover is on the shelf. Here I also try to do at least 1 page in 2 months. I usually try to do 1 month a page in Leon's journey, and 1 month it's a page here. If I can do 2 pictures, it's great. I still struggle with paper. I still constantly compare paper in Leon and paper here, but I love it. I love the size, I love the designs. In May probably, or April, I even managed to finish this Unlucky Whip, which I had here with watercolor background. Then a year later, I managed to finish all those flowers when for the color along we colored tulips. So I think that Symphony was my second popular book, and the third, it was Steampunk by Russell Hampson. I actually think that I started to color it after the new year. December I dedicated to Russell Hampson Winter Wonders, and when winter holidays were over, I thought about Mr. Fogerty Adventures, but I already explained my problems, and this one. I love steampunk, you know it. I love to color medals. I love to color everything from Russell Hampson because of his characters, because of the humor which we can find everywhere in his books. And I think that I already adjusted to the paper. Mostly I use polychromos, but I also experimented here with different pencils like Irogitans here, a little bit of stencils. So now I have quite a good progress here, and I think that all works were made during these 6 months. From time to time I use marker, but not as frequently as in Russell Hampson. I love my works here because of the color palette, because of the right amount of details which I need to color here. Interesting, but not too much. I also started to use here art supply, which I have for several years and never used, and it's King Art gel crayons. Sadly, I have only small amount of colors, so not all of them are matching together, but still several crayons helped me to do this easy and quick backgrounds that I am extremely happy. So this one I did with Distress Oxides, and I think that it's a very nice page. I really love this one. So you can see that I actually managed to do plenty pictures here. So that's where starts the hope to finish this book one day. And we are moving to the next question. What are some of your favorite new books you purchased? Well, shocking confession, I hadn't purchased anything. During these 6 months, the only new book I got, it was the Rome, which artist kindly sent me, Rome by Urban Anna. She noticed how much I love her first books, so she kindly sent me a book for a review. And that was all my new editions, and apart from it I hadn't purchased anything. I think that I have enough of books. For now I don't have enough time to color in all of them, so many lovely books, they are laying on my shelves waiting for their happy moment. And maybe I also don't feel like I need to spend money on books right now when I need to spend them on other purposes like survival, like support of our army. So maybe it's just not a moment for me. Yes, if you ask me about my plans, I would love to have a new book by Hannah Carson about castles, which will be published in English edition in September. Maybe one day I will purchase the book by Emily Lindehol-Oberg, that one which she published after Sagar Oxakner. Sorry, I forgot the name. And I also want Mythographic Alice book by Katin Bank. So maybe in the second half of the year I will purchase them, but for the first 6 months I hadn't purchased any new books. And here starts a new question. How many uncolored books you still have? Okay, I also started the count yesterday. I count 15 of them. I have one mythographic. I have Dragon Link by Jasmine Beckett Griffith, and that's shocked me because she is my favorite artist. And that's a catastrophe. I definitely need to start those Dragon Links. Then I have City Among the Stars by Hannah Carson. I have 2 Nick Filbert books. I have books by Pictura, those Leporello books. They are dragons, medieval book, and knights. I have a second book by Coloriage Wild. I have one book by Marty Noble, and it's One Rose Woman by Creative Heaven. I have Fairy Tales by Tatiana Bagema. That's a book with very thin paper, which still frightens me. Oh, I have House of Dragons by Tomislav Tomic, my big beauty. I have book about Harry Potter. I have Chinese book by Gugeli, and I have a Poem Girl book. So that's 15. Honestly, then I stopped to count. I decided that it's enough shop for me. I don't want to find any more hidden secrets, hidden skeletons on my shelves. So even 15, I think it's a big count. I guess that in August I will try to review some of these books, and I definitely will try to start something. If we talk about uncolored books, which I started during the first 6 months, I think that I don't remember about this one. I definitely started for the first time Little Folk by Christine Karen. So far, I think that I have, how many? Maybe 3 finished pictures. All of them are lovely. When I got her first book, I was intimidated, that Wildflower. I did couple of pictures and I still had small struggle with them. Then somehow when I got Little Folk and Wondrous Folk, something in me was finally freed, and I finally don't have any inner problems with starting different portraits. I now color in all of her 3 books with a huge pleasure. So when I finally feel relaxed to color, I also started this Little Folk. During 6 months I did, I think, 3 portraits here. I try to switch between books because yes, we have slightly different style, more children portraits here, slightly different shape of faces, different composition for the pictures. So 1 month I take Little Folk, 1 month I take Wondrous Folk, 1 month Wildflower. So that was the first untouched book which I started, and the second, what surprised myself, it was this Coloriage Wild. I can't even remember how many years ago I was gifted the first and second book. I looked at them. I realized that paper is very thick and probably nice for watercolors, but that's portraits, and what you have on your page, it's yes, that's some flowers, but mostly it's a portrait. It's a focal point here, and you know that when you are not sure how to color the main think on the page, why would you start it? So I simply feel intimidated. I also didn't know how to color, to try and to do the whole page with watercolors, but it's even more frightening to do portrait with watercolor. So those 2 books, they were laying somewhere on the shelf, again waiting for the happy moment. Then when I realized that my watercolor collection of paints slowly grows and I don't use it very frequently, I started to check my books where I can actually use it on decent paper. I also saw on YouTube very relaxed video of flower painting, and I decided that I need to use watercolors somewhere for flowers, and that was a happy moment for this book. So far I have here flowers which I did with watercolors, some flowers done with regular pencils. All backgrounds are indeed watercolors. Some of my paints work better, some of my paints don't want to show all their granulating properties. I would say that this paper eats pigment considerably, so you need to think how much your color will change after drying. But it was really very interesting experience. Sometimes I spectacularly ruin the first layer, and then I need to do some saving to apply different media to save backgrounds. On the girls, I also experimented with various pencil brands, Prismacolors, Polychromos obviously, but I also used Erogetans. I also used Kohinoor Polycolor pencils, which never work on other papers. And something in this book, maybe because I have 2 copies of the majority of the images, maybe because I also have that second untouched book, it really spared me from the nerves of doing portraits. It's not like I treasure these pictures as much as beautiful ladies in this book, for example. They are beautiful in their own style. I love her books. Just I feel more adventurous probably when I color here. This one I did with my granulating watercolor recently, and honestly I was very happy with the background. I didn't have a big desire to color the girl also, but it helped me also to experiment a little bit with Derwent drawings on this paper. I can say that paper here it's easy to work with pencils. For me it's paper where you need a lot of blending. The colorless blender is your best friend on this paper, but it's interesting, and when you adjust to it, you really can do quick and interesting works, and it definitely helped me to study better my paints, to have some color ideas which I can also use in other books. And I shown you all my huge progress in this colorage world, and all was done during first 6 months of this year. Which uncolored books you want to prioritize coloring in second half? Well, I definitely want to start City Among the Stars by Hannah Carlson. Maybe it's just my own way to justify purchasing another book by Hannah. If I start and do something in City Among the Stars, then maybe I can justify purchasing the new one. And also, of course, I really want to start House of Dragons by Tomislav Tomic and Harry Potter, especially Harry Potter and Dragonlings. So, Dragonlings, Harry Potter, House of Dragons. I hope that at least something from this list I will manage to color during next 6 months. Which coloring books are you looking forward to releasing? Sorry, I can't say that I really check what new books we are expecting. For me, I already mentioned that what I expect to add to my collection is mythographic Alice. It's a book by Hannah Carlson. And then, of course, I am always waiting for the new books from Russell Hampson. I absolutely love them. Are there any books you plan to complete this year? Oh, well, when I try to say such words, I am trying to complete a book, it always puts some kind of bad spell on my book. Of course, you can see that this one is very close to finishing. I think that it has maybe 5 portraits and it's colored very quickly. But downside is that they are very repetitive, so I can't color in it very frequently. Other books which I maybe can finish, it's steampunk. It also has a good progress, but I won't be promising myself anything because when I feel this pressure, you need to finish it until the end of the year. I think that I can either color with lesser quality, trying to color quicker, even when I don't have any creative, any original idea, like. Usually, first I have an idea, I saw a nice color palette, or I realize that maybe I need to, I want to try new color palette for the metal. Then I select a page. When I feel like, oh, you don't feel any inspiration, but you need to finish this page, you can realize that nothing good will happen. So out of pressure to finish it until the end of the year, I won't be coloring it, but it always is near my working table, and when I can, I will try to look at it, and maybe in such way I will find more inspiration. So for huge plans, of course, I plan to finish both of those books, but without any strict rules. How many videos you uploaded? It's impossible to count many. Well, quite many. Which video you are most proud of? I don't know, maybe again that video where I colored that frost lady, maybe video where I colored a Leon journey with poppies, but well, I think that mostly I am proud that I still do this video and that I even hadn't stopped to do videos during the first very complicated months when we didn't have electricity, so everything worked just from batteries, but I still tried to maintain my channel to publish videos, because for me it was kind of sign that they didn't defeat me. Maybe it sounds strange, but yes, for me it's already a good sign that I continue doing videos, and I think that also I'm proud of these talking videos, of these tags, because that's not my native language, because to film a nice tag it requires more time, more preparation, rather than just film a color along when I can arrive after work to sit at my table and just to film my current coloring process. To prepare for tag, it's a little bit more longer, it requires more time and mentally more difficult for me to speak. So I'm proud of my tags probably. What are some new favorite coloring channels you have discovered? Well, sorry guys, but no one. During these 6 months I totally stopped to watch coloring YouTube channels. The only exceptions are Chris Cheng and Shirley XLY. I think that it's correct name. Maybe she changed it recently. I'm very happy that she returned to YouTube. Definitely Chris Cheng is my must go. I always watch her videos, I enjoy them. And of course, if I need, I randomly watch book flip through, but I just put the name on the book on the search, and doesn't matter on which channel I watch the flip through. It happened after I watched a video on coloring YouTube, and I realized that it affected me in not a good way. It didn't hurt me, because of course it's just video. There are much more serious things which can hurt me truly, but still it affected me, and it bothered my mental shields, reminding of my mental health, which is honestly very reduced during last months. And I realized that that's definitely not what I want to have from coloring YouTube. So I simply stopped to watch completely, and now I have more free time. Yes, I realize that probably in the same time I lose a lot of interesting things. Recently, when I looked at those tags, I realized that it's very interesting, and I will try to watch those texts about unpopular opinions, about art supplies people regret to purchase, but I don't think that for the future time I will be actively watching YouTube coloring videos. Did you set any coloring goals after at the beginning of the year, and how are you progressing with them? Well, I was stupid enough to put a couple of such promises, and last year I also did so. Last year I failed spectacularly. My 2 goals were to color more frequently in the books by Hannah Carson. Failed. I did 2 pictures. It was to color at least 1 page in 2 months in Colorless Kingdom. Well, I did probably 3 pictures, but well, not exactly maintain promise. In the beginning of this year, I promised myself to color at least 1 page in all my huge mythographic books. Maybe again it was my inner excuse that until I use all available mythographic books, I can't purchase any more. That's better, because in May, in June, I used finally mythographic aquatic. Let me check how many mythographic books I actually colored. Where is my very helpful? It disappeared. Okay, my statistic disappeared. That's it. So I colored in Mythographic Aviary, Mythographic Aquatic, Mythographic Odyssey, which is great. That's actually a book which I finally started. That was untouched, and finally I did the first page here. Mythographic Cosmic Spirit, which I also started, in Mythographic Dragon Spell. So this one I consider as a goal which I managed to fulfill. And another one, to have a good progress in Symphony. Well, not bad. I think that those pictures which I did though during these 6 months, it's enough to feel satisfied. Still not close to the completing of this book, but many lovely pictures, even pictures which initially weren't very inspiring for me, like this one, I still colored them. So yes, I think that progress here is bad. So this promise I maintained. Second promise was to finish this country kitchen charm, and again, no luck at all. I think that a problem with this book is that, of course, pictures are repetitive, and after several first pictures which I did green kitchen, blue kitchen, wooden kitchen with dark walls. I simply ran out of creative ideas. Then every time I struggle with very thick black lines. So now my speed is very slow. I think that this year I added only 2 new pictures here, and they also weren't not very high on my list on finished pictures. I did this cafe, I think, probably this one also. So definitely not much. Still far from finishing this book. And another problem is that maybe the most interesting pictures with the most original objects, most original pictures I already colored, and that's a problem. When you need to finish the whole book, you also need to finish such less inspiring pages. But I don't give up. I just decided that when I can, I will color it. If I can't finish it until the end of this year, well, maybe next year. And the last question here is about YouTube specific goals. For me, I think that the only goal is to maintain. I don't have any inner strength to do some huge efforts trying to do a burst of growth for my channel, and honestly I don't know what to do for such things. I don't have enough time to participate more in social media, to advertise my videos, and it's difficult for me also to improve quality right now. So for me a goal is just to try to maintain the same speed, try not to lose my inspiration, because it's very difficult. Not to compare with other channel statistics, because that's absolutely deadly thought. And I hope that in the end of the year I still will be able to film my favorite series of all my books, all my finished pictures. I always enjoy doing this, so I hope that in December we will have some electric power and I will do such series of videos again to look back at my year. Various videos with this tag have different list of questions, so I did a mix and I added several questions which I loved myself. The first, which I found very interesting, it's about most frequently used set of pencils for the first half of the year. The answer is obvious, it's Prismacolors. You know that I am a fan of creamy, soft pencils. I love Prismacolors because of their color palette, their unique light colors, But I also noticed that when I work on bad paper, and it happens frequently, well, okay, not bad, but rather thin, I prefer to use polychromos. So because I color frequently in Russell Hampson books, polychromoses were also very frequently used. I can't say how happy I am to hear about their newest colors. I hope that one day they also will be available here, because colors look lovely. We will discuss it in the next question, because it will be about wish list. So two most frequently used art supplies are obvious: polychromos and Prismacolors. But there are also some happy moments that I finally started to use some art supplies which I owned but almost never used. First, it's a Kohinoor Polycolor. At least I did a couple of pictures with them. I always say that they have lovely colors, but they are terrible on majority of papers. They require quite specific paper, thick and with texture probably. So far I managed to use them in my Forest Girl, Apple Forest Girl, but in artist edition, and also in that Coloriage Wild. Not much, but at least it's some movement for the pencil, because I really dislike when they are just laying in the pencil case. Second, I started to mix my pencils more frequently, especially when I colored portraits, to achieve nice and soft effect of nice and soft skin. Even on grade paper, like in books published by Blue Angel, books by Christine Karen, I prefer to use Prismacolors, polychromoses first, and then to add on the last step something very soft, like Derwent Drawings or Caran d'Ache Luminance. So majority of my portraits which I did, they have like finishing touch either with some of light luminance colors, or I started to add also soft pink, soft violet colors from Derwent Drawings, depending from the skin tone I want to achieve. So I started to experiment with mixing. Gel crayons by King Art I already mentioned. Actually, here I started to answer another question: which new art supplies you started to use? So those crayons, so far I somehow only use this part. I think that I definitely need to find some page where I can at least try and to blend this blue-green colors. You can see that I have not huge set, but still plenty of colors could be combined, and definitely with King Art I intend to experiment more. And another art supply I used just once, but still for me it was a nice milestone during the first half of the year. It's gouache background. Gouache still puzzles me. I can't say that it's easy for me to work with it, but I have a great interest in it, so I really love to use it more frequently. I think that when I have free time, I definitely need to watch some tutorials how people blend it, because I follow many artists who use gouache in their art and it looks amazing. I would love to have such skills, so that's definitely my goal for the next half of the year, to use gouache more frequently. That's my only background which I did it, but yes, it was very refreshing and very interesting. And finally, the last question about what art supplies, what books are on your wish list for the second half of the year. So on my wish list about these books we already discussed. And about art supplies, I definitely would love to have more colors of gouache. Then I think that I would love to expand my palette of distress oxides. I love them. I think that they are very nice media to use also on thin paper. Together with King Art crayons, they can resolve my problem with background on thin paper. That's the only background which I did so far, and they work on paper great, but my problem is that I can't invent color combos from the colors which I have. By themselves they are lovely, so maybe I will start from just using them as one color backgrounds. But of course gradients are more interesting, and I will check which collection of colors I currently have, and I will try to find them at least couple of additional colors. I would love to have like lighter and darker color in each family. I will try to show you, but it's slightly complicated. Like I have those colors. For better gradient, of course it's better to have another green, maybe slightly darker for this lovely shade. For this blue, I think that maybe I need to purchase a lighter color. Of course they are expensive, but I will try to expand my collection, trying to find colors to support my existing colors. And my final item on the wish list, it's luminance pencils. That's colors which I currently own. I purchase them open stock when I can, and you can see that mostly I select colors which can help me with coloring skin. Unfortunately, not all colors are available. I can't find their lovely colors for dark skin. They are not available as open stock, at least here. So my goal is to extend my collection. I have my birthday in a couple of days, so maybe I will try to purchase several colors as my birthday present. I absolutely love them, how they behave on paper, their colors very intense, but at the same time many interesting slightly muted colors. Well, so I'm totally in love with them, and I love how well they can be used together with other brands, and I would say that they definitely improve quality of my pictures, especially portraits. Well, now it's finally the end of this tag. Very soon I will publish video about my colored pictures for July. So thank you for watching this video, and I will hope that you will watch the next one also.